Hi, I'm Jeff K.D. Meyers, and I'm here to talk a little bit today about Samudrik Shastra, which is otherwise translated as body reading. And I'm a medical doctor and also a licensed acupuncturist, and I've been interested in this topic for many years, and I've taught it in a lot of different contexts, including teaching yoga, teaching acupuncturists, teaching physicians, and others. So, to begin with, how did I get interested in the topic? From the beginning of my clinical practice, I was interested in how do you treat the whole person in front of me, not just a part. And so I started to explore different courses and classes. And one day I ended up in a seminar with a great teacher who was a biopsychologist, who would get people in front of the room, and very quickly, by doing the simplest things, he'd be able to elicit powerful and positive change out of his students, right in front of your eyes. And the goal basically was to look at the student and see what interests you, and then come up with a way to balance your student, to see, okay, what looks like it may be a little bit out of balance, and how can I bring that student back to balance? So when I attended this class, everyone became very excited because we were all seeing the magic that would happen when we could look at people and make a small shift and get them to have a bigger shift in the whole way that they moved into the world. And it also changed my capacity and ability to understand what healing was about, because it was about finding a way to treat the whole person. And this was a lesson that I never forgot, and I hope to share a little bit with you today. So, how, when you're teaching a class, such as a yoga class, can you work with each person who comes in a unique and personal and individual way that keeps you at the edge of your growth and also keeps the student at the edge of their growth all the time? And so to come up with that way to work individually with people, there's really only one question that you have to pay attention to. And that's, what interests me about my student today? So when someone comes in the room, it's pretty simple. It's like, oh, what interests me about them? And is there a way that I can work with that? And that's really the basic secret of how to read bodies and how to work with people at the edge of their growth. And so the goal of looking at what interests you about the person is trying to find a clue as to what kind of intervention will bring balance and flexibility to their system. So there's a specific method that I use when I work with people, and it's called the ONE method, O-N-E. And the three parts of the ONE method include, number one, observation, two is not knowing, and three is embodiment. So O, N, and E. Basically, through observation, we find a way to enhance our observational skills so that we can become clearer about what interests us in our students. Through starting with not knowing, we try and work and see the student without a preconception, with an open mind or with no mind, so that when someone comes into the room, we can just look and say, that's what I'm drawn to, and then begin to work with that. And then the last important component for body reasoning is to develop a capacity of embodiment. So embodiment is the moment-to-moment experience of the body as self. So basically it's being grounded in the physicality of the moment, coming from a place of not knowing, where conditioning or patterns or thoughts or ideas don't get in the way of your seeing, and then observing and seeing what interests you. And so that is the O-N-E method, the ONE method for body reading. So basically, how are we going to work with this? So your student comes into the room, and what do you see when they first come into the room? Maybe what you're drawn to is their smile and the expression on their face. Or you may be drawn to something about their posture, like are they walking into the room in a rigid way or in a very fluid way? Or is there some kind of thing about their structure where they're tilted to one side, or you notice some kind of asymmetry or something going on? Or even the speed that they come into the room. Are they, racing into the room, all revved up from coming in from outside in the city? Or do they come in where they're kind of slow and dragging? Do you notice anything about their emotional state? Do you notice, what do you notice about just the general energetic field or feel that they have when they come into the room? And from that first thing that interests you, you begin to use that as a little seed or a key for how to work with them in their class. And by coming from a place where you're very grounded and present, you also have to be on the edge of your abilities to see and be focused and be present in order to work with them. So for instance, if someone comes in off the street and they're all revved up and moving very quickly and nervous and fidgeting, what I might do is in the yoga class, no matter what postures I'm going to do, I'm going to work with them to slow down and to come to a centered place and to do their asana with presence and focus and calm and slowness. And that's really what my goal with them in the class is that day. So it won't matter which posture they do or which specific asana or what their, it's not so important how their alignment is or how perfect they are with their execution. What's more important is the general feel that they have when they're doing the yoga posture so that it brings them into a more integrated or balanced state. The same thing could be with someone who comes in and they're dragging, they walk through the door, and what you notice about them is just sort of the slowness and that they're inward. Maybe there's a sense that they're a little bit depressed or just not so woken up. What I'm going to work with that person on the day is how to enliven them. So again, no matter what their posture is that they're doing, I'm going to work with the liveliness and the excitement and their focus and clarity and presence from an outward place, as opposed to when they came in the room, they were more focused inward and more internalized. So these are just a few things that you can work with. If we were working with structural, with a structural model, someone may come in and you'll notice that they're leaning to one side, or that they may come in the room with a limp or something like that. Well, what you'll want to do then is, from what you observe, is have them slow down to a place where that imbalance or that limp is not as present when they're doing the work, and so that you can find the place of integrity and alignment without having to make them pull themselves in some specific way, but get them to a place where energetically they're more relaxed so that they can do the pose from a place of an inner alignment that they don't have when they're normally moving in the whirling mat. So this is really the key. Basically, it's a way of seeing and diagnosing the whole person when they come into the room, and working from that place. And what it asks of you is to come from that place as well. Because if you're distracted as a teacher, or you're not focused, or you're just worrying about what the sequencing is going to be or what list of postures you have to do, you're going to miss these keys that are really the most important thing to bring your students to come face to face with that line where they're really going to grow. The whole idea is to keep people on the edge of their growth, surfing that line of growth all the time. And this method, the one method of observation, not knowing, and embodiment, is the beginning of being able to do that. Thank you.